Hello, I'm Edward Eaton, and today I'd like to talk to you about moving from summary to argument, from idea to sentence to a fully developed paragraph and beyond. So, the prompt for this is to write a one sentence review of Star Wars. Now, a couple notes here. I'm not going to give you any instruction, and remember, Star Wars is the name of what some people would call Episode 4, but it's the real name of Episode 4, not A New Hope. Yes, I'm a purist, at least that far. And now, usually, take a minute if you want, think about it. How would you write a one-sentence review of Star Wars? Generally speaking, what I get is this. Star Wars is about a farm boy who leaves home and rescues a princess. Is this a review, or is it something else? It's a synopsis, or if you prefer, it's probably a teaser. It tells me something that happens, it gives me an idea of what it's about, but there's no evaluation, there's no argument, there's no recommendation, because that is what a review is. A review is claim, reasons, recommendation. Now, most of us, if we're giving a review of a movie to friends and family, we don't need to say a lot. They know what we like, they know what we don't like. If I tell my wife, I love this movie, she knows it's a war movie or a movie where something blows up. If she said she loves this movie, it's probably about a wife killing her husband. But what if you were giving a review to people you don't know? People who don't understand your shorthand. You would make a claim, you would support it with reasons, and you would either make or imply a recommendation. Now, it's important to separate recommendation from evaluation. I happen to love the film Sharknado, and I would recommend it to many people. Not everybody, but many people. I would not say it's a particularly well-made movie, and I've seen movies that I thought were quite lovely, but were overly grim. And I wouldn't recommend them to a lot of people. But to be fair, saying something's good usually implies a recommendation, and saying something's bad usually doesn't. So, for the sake of argument, we'll start with that off in mind. So, let's take a look at the idea of what makes the movie good. Now, the reasons we would give, usually we'd give three. I'm a firm believer in the rule of three. It's something you see a lot in writing, in rhetoric. You establish a pattern. It feels more complete than two and not as busy as four reasons. And it's just considered to have a stronger impact. So here's my basic one-sentence review of Star Wars. Star Wars is good because of its story, characters, and visuals. This is much closer. We have a claim. We have three supporting reasons. It's pretty vague. We don't know much about the film, so we have to refine. And in this case, refining means to expand. So this is much better. It's still one sentence. George Lucas's 1977 science fiction film Star Wars. So we establish in there the director. In this case, now he is a big name. Even in the 1970s, he was a name of a rising director. He had done American Graffiti by then. 1977 gives you a good date. Some people don't like older movies. Some people do like older movies. Except if at least if it's made in the 70s, you have some idea of visually what to expect. Science fiction. Okay, the name Star Wars kind of gives that away, but still, just in case you know, it's science fiction. Now you know. It follows a restless farm boy who leaves home to rescue a princess from a tyrannical galactic empire. Enough said. It's an enduring film. We're not saying good, though we could be saying good, but enduring film because of classic storytelling, iconic characters, and unforgettable visual effects. Notice that for each aspect, there is one adjective. So we have a nice balance, symmetry going on. It is strongly recommended for viewers of all ages seeking large-scale adventure and imaginative worlds to escape into. See, you know what you're getting into. Or you have a pretty good idea of what you're getting into. So we have context, we have teaser, and we have a recommendation that's qualified to some degree. You know, if you don't like this kind of movie, not to see it. But you at least... This is a complete review. And by the way, if all you needed was a short review, stop here. You're done. You've made it, and we can move, and you can move on with your life or your assignment. However, this is a writing course, so we have to expand more. And but as we expand, notice we're going to build this to a paragraph. Everything our paragraph will say is actually embedded inside this sentence. So we have our main claim, the film's enduring, and we have our reasons, and as we expand our writing, these reasons become subclaims, and they'll need their own support. We have our, the film's enduring, classic storytelling, iconic characters, unforgettable visual effects. So we need to expand on that, but we're not coming up with any new ideas. We're just building on those ideas. So here we have a relatively a short paragraph. Notice there are 5 sentences, and each of these sentences is roughly balanced. Actually, each of these sentences is exactly balanced. They're each 17 words long, and that is accidental. But you notice each of it has a claim. Each of the subclaims is a little expanded on into a short, distinctive sentence, and it has a clear recommendation. So, but we need to add some more texture to it. We need to revise it or expand it some more. Notice here, by the way, the sentence breakdown for the symmetry. Here is a longer paragraph. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I've color-coded it here so you can visualize its balance. Each of these parts looks to be the same length, the same bar. The point of this is all points are roughly equal. We want all our main points to be roughly equal. There are sometimes we can handle exceptions in these, but we can also try to make the main points. The main points, by the way, are the green, the black, and the red. The blues are the intro and the conclusion, and they are supposed to more or less balance each other out. But it's nice if everything is nicely balanced. This is visually nicely balanced. And, oh yes, each of these is also 40 words long. This is mostly accidental. I think it was 40, 40, 40, 38, 41. So I maneuvered a little just to make it 40 for the fun of it. 5 sentences, claim, 3 supporting that is expanded a little bit, and the recommendation. So look at you see the balance, and you can do that on many levels of the writing. You can do that at the one sentence. You can do that at the simple paragraph. You can do that at the outlining stages. This is called, or part of this. This is called scaling, building up from sentence to paragraph to essay. Each step follows a similar process and adds to it to add support, and then as you build more, you just keep on adding incrementally and proportionally. So your paragraph could become a short essay, could easily become a 5-paragraph essay. If you wanted to, it could become a 10-page paper, in which case you could think of psychologically, you could think of your 10-page paper as being 5 2-page papers, which is a lot easier to write than one 10-page paper. So, and if you want to do 20 or 50 or 100, you can still expand that way. Each expansion is building on the other, the earlier forms, the earlier incarnations. So there's nothing really new happening here. It's just constantly evolving. So this is how you go from this one fairly simple sentence, which is, again, a teaser, to building up to a much longer, much more sophisticated, and much more pleasing sort of essay. Moving from description to persuasion. Beginning with a simple, carefully constructed sentence and ending with a sophisticated and carefully constructed paragraph or more. Thank you.